Hi, it's Dr. Sarah Gordon of the PhD Journey Unplugged podcast on here by myself for a philosophical pause. If you follow me and have followed me over the past year, you'll know that once in a while I get on here and I read the work of a legendary ultra endurance runner named Jerry Dunn. He trusts me with presenting his voice out to the world through my platform, and he sends me his writings. And I have the honor and the privilege to read his work on episode 57 and episode 65. I highly recommend that you go back and listen to those episodes. There's so much depth and introspection in the things that he writes about. And he has sent me two additional pieces, and I'm going to read one now. Um, and I'm honored to do this for him. I actually love to do this, and he's a remarkable human being. He is 80 now, and he has spent his life through running in the ultra endurance world, picking up great wisdom to share with us through the thousands of miles that he has crossed and traversed across the globe. So this piece is called "The Tribe," and it's written by Jerry Dunn. And it's one man's lifelong search for his kind of weird. And when I read it, actually, it resonated with me too. A lot of parallels in terms of trying to figure out, where you belong. And do you need to belong in one space or can you belong in multiple spaces? So here we go. The Tribe, written by Jerry Dunn. I've been thinking lately about tribes, not the kind with feathers and face paint. Though honestly, some ultra runners come pretty darn close. I mean, the tribes we accidentally stumble into during life. Because whether we admit it or not, everybody belongs to one. A church tribe, a political tribe, a golf tribe, a CrossFit tribe, Facebook outrage tribes, complain about everything at the coffee shop tribe, and perhaps the most dangerous tribe of all, the people who peaked in high school tribe. I've spent most of my life wandering between camps looking for my particular flavor of crazy. At 29, I accidentally wandered into the running tribe. Back then, I was barefoot on Siesta Key Beach, looking less like a future marathon runner and more like a guy who had misplaced both his shoes and his life plan. The recreational runner tribe welcomed me first. Friendly enough people, a little obsessive, talked far too much about mileage and bowel movements. Still do. Then came the marathon tribe. Now there was a special breed. You tell normal people you're running 26.2 miles, and they immediately assume one of three things. You lost a bet, you're emotionally damaged, you're being chased, all fair assumptions. Then I found the ultra runner tribe. These people looked at marathons and said, cute warm up. This is where things got wonderfully weird. Hallucinations became race stories. Toenails became optional. Eating mashed potatoes at 3 a.m. in the woods somehow felt perfectly normal. And suffering became a personality trait. Then I accidentally started creating races, which turned me into something I never expected, an elder. Now, let me be clear. Becoming a tribe elder does not mean wisdom. It mostly means you're old enough to say things like, well, back in 93. And suddenly, younger runners gather around like you're about to reveal ancient secrets. Mostly, I just tell stories about poor decisions. But then something happened. Life happened. Depression happened. The wheels got a little wobbly. And I discovered another tribe entirely, the healing tribe. Turns out sometimes the strongest thing you can do isn't push harder. Sometimes it's sitting quietly on a beach long enough for your own head to stop yelling at you. Though I eventually Though eventually I learned something important. Healing alone is good. Healing with other people is better. Which brought me back to running groups, coffee shops, 5Ks, friends, shared suffering, shared laughter, shared lies like that hill wasn't so bad, And somewhere along the way, I realized maybe life isn't about finding your tribe. Maybe it's about surviving enough seasons to earn admission into several. The barefoot tribe, the running tribe, the ultra lunatic fringe tribe, the sobriety tribe, the veterans tribe, the I've lived long enough to stop pretending tribe, and yes, the cannabis tribe, a remarkably friendly bunch, by the way, though not especially punctual. Then there was Crazy Horse, one of my favorite tribe moments. I asked a Lakota tribe member to begin the race with a chant and a drum instead of a starter pistol. The pacifist in me thought maybe we don't start foot races with simulated gunfire. The native people had already heard enough guns when colonizers showed up. Besides, if people are voluntarily running themselves into suffering, shouldn't we at least begin with music, drums, spirit, movement, a little soul before the pain? Which brings me to age 80. At this point, I think my tribe is pretty simple. People who still move, people who still laugh, people curious enough to question things, people willing to think about what they're thinking about, people not fully embalmed while still technically alive. Maybe that's the real tribe, the tribe of motion. Not perfection, not politics, not identity, just movement. Because stagnation, that's one tribe I've never trusted. And if I've learned anything after 80 years, it's this: find your people, but don't be afraid to outgrow them. A long life means changing tribes, sometimes willingly, sometimes kicking and screaming. Either way, the campfire is always somewhere else waiting for you. I love that piece. It really hit home for me when I read it for the first time. And every time I read it, I just think there's such a great message in it. It reminds me of the podcast episode I just had on identity shifts and allowing ourselves opportunity, the permission to grow. We don't have to hold on to one identity. We don't have to stay in one tribe. We can allow ourselves, we're living, breathing organisms. We can allow ourselves the freedom to grow, to try new things, try things out. You know pretty quickly if you feel like you fit somewhere or not, right? There's lots of signs if you feel like your authentic self in a space. Or maybe you stay in a space because it challenges you to grow and to think a little bit differently. See, the tribe is more than just the experience of the moment. It's part of your journey. It's part of the things that you pick up along the way that make you who you are, right? Being an ultra endurance marathon runner, Jerry Dunn learned over thousands of miles, a lot of lessons about life, a lot of lessons about himself, a lot of things that he saw out there about other people, cultures, tribes, moments, good things, hard things, all those precious moments in life that make life fulfilling and worth living. It wasn't always just a straight path. There were a lot of curves in that path too. But I love how at age 80 he brings so much wisdom to reflecting on it, reflecting on all those long miles and what they mean. And the tribe challenges us, I believe, in my heart, and the way I interpret it. And maybe it's open to interpret it the way you want. But the tribe to me says, it's okay. Be kind to yourself. Sometimes you outgrow people. Sometimes you move on, right? Sometimes you're looking for something different and you have to move on to find that, to find those answers in your life. See, I understand this. I went back to get my PhD in my mid 50s. It started a whole new path and opened up many new connections and opportunities for my life. My younger self never could have imagined I would be where I am today. And by taking that step and then allowing myself the opportunity to grow into a PhD student, and finding a new tribe along the way was just incredibly enlightening. And so the PhD Journey Unplugged podcast, now approaching its 70th episode and moving into its second year, is always going to be about encouraging people to live their best lives, but do it authentically for yourself, right? Dig a little bit deeper, spend some time in quiet, right? Quiet your mind, go someplace and just sit quietly, right? Our world doesn't give us a lot of opportunities for quiet time. But in those quiet moments, you can hear, you can hear clearly. You can get a lot of clarity about the next step that you need to take for your life. And maybe it involves finding a new tribe. Maybe there are hard decisions of leaving things behind that no longer serve your growth and your purpose and your mission in life. If we are blessed enough to have strong convictions and strong feelings about where we want to take our lives, then don't be scared to try out new tribes, right? Like Jerry Dunn explains to us, and be open to learning from other people. When we go through life and we keep it very narrow, it really does us a disservice. We really cannot understand the diversity in this world. We're all living, breathing organisms. We bring a lot of diversity to the experience of humanity and to life. And by trying new tribes and moving towards things and away from things, we give us ourselves that flexibility to grow. And at the end of the day, my message, my voice as a health promotion leader will always be to encourage you to live your best life. I always say from the inside out, which means basically that we take into account the positive benefits of physical activity on the physiology within our bodies that helps us shine on the outside and helps us be positive and to grow in our lives. So that's my message. I have another um, reading another piece that Jerry Dunn has sent me that I will release soon as well. But I wanted to start with this one, The Tribe. And I'm grateful that he shares these with me. I love the introspection that he's coming to through his years of being an ultra endurance runner. And they're great lessons for all of us to learn. This is a person who put himself in situations where most of us will never go, right? Running 100 miles and then some. A level of suffering that is perhaps is self-imposed, but there's a lot to learn in that suffering, a lot of growth. And so when he speaks, when he writes, and the lessons that he teaches, I listen, and I'm grateful and I'm honored to bring them to you so you can listen too. All right, everybody, just a short message tonight, and I'm wishing everybody just a great journey, right? Make your journey count. Dig deep, find your why, find your purpose, and then go out and live it. And don't ever give up on it. Never, ever give up on yourself. Be unapologetically yourself. All right, everybody. Thank you and bye.